Hi, I'm Dave Christine. Today my safety lecture is on how to properly and safely destroy drugs. Okay, today we're going to learn on destruction of drugs. First thing we're going to do is the vials. There's many different ways you can destroy them. The most common way is taking them by manually destroying and pouring out the liquid. You can also get real fancy and break them with one hand and pour out the liquid. But that way is mundane, gets boring, and there's other ways you can do it. For instance, you can take a hammer and an ampule and break them. For instance, you can let's put on some safety gloves here. Take one and take a pair of scissors and cut one up with scissors. Or maybe you can't. Okay. Cut them up with scissors. Enough of that one. But there's another way you can do it, and this is a way that has not been proven yet, and a way that we're going to try today, and that is breaking one with an egg. Can it be done? Here we've set the vial up on the ground, and we're going to try to drop an egg on top of it and see if we can break the vial with the egg. Okay, you ready? Nope. Apparently that idea does not work. When the egg doesn't work, we have to resort to some former means. Now we're not going to pick this up with our hands and do it because, as you can see, it's all gooky and everything, but we will use one of the methods that has been proven to work. Yes, that works quite well. As a matter of fact, the hammer, I believe, is the best thing we have to destroy drugs with. And then in just a second we will go and proceed with some other vials we have to destroy with a couple other objects. Now we're going to a little bit harder vials to break. Now these are multi-dose vials, and if you come across trying to destroy one of these, they're a little bit more difficult. We have regular methods of destroying them where you pop the top, insert a needle, and you draw out the junk. Now this right here is a time-consuming process, and it takes a while to be done, so we're not going to do that. There's another way. You can take a pair of pliers, pull off the top, and pour it out. This is quite effective, but it's not quite as fun. Another way of doing it is taking one and destroying it with other drugs that needs to be destroyed also. For instance, you can lay it on the ground and hit it, and you destroy it with other drugs. Or you can resort to the all-famous hammer and hit them with a hammer. This is the method that I like the most. But as you can see, sometimes it's not always appropriate. Now, okay, so we lost one. Now another method to use, when you destroy a drug or something, you have to pick up the mess. There's another way you can do it, and that's by using the tennis racket. You simply get rid of the drug. You simply get rid of it, and you don't have to worry about it no more. And the vials, like we said, are real easy. You can just toss them on out. Now we'll go to the next thing. Bristol jets. This right here is also dealing with injectable drugs, but they're a little more dangerous because, as you can see, they have needles on them. So we have to use a little bit more caution with them. Okay, now, the safest and the best way to do it is to gather them all together, get your trusty can of Metamucil, and beat them with Metamucil. And we shall do that now. Now, Metamucil is not a very strong object, so it doesn't really work all that good. But, have never fear, we can trust the trusty hammer to completely tear up everything. Okay, now, the hammer is not the only method that you can use on Bristol jets. You have the scissors. You can cut them up. Now this right here takes a little longer. It's a little more fun if you have time to do it, but it's not quite as quick, okay? Because usually you get discouraged and you just kind of get rid of them. Okay. The next thing to do, if you are in a hurry, you have Bristol jets. You need to get it destroyed. You need to hurry up and dispose of it. You're in a big hurry. Chief is coming in. It's getting close to 7:30. People are starting to show up. Tennis racket works wonders. Bye. Okay. Now, the needles are a different thing. Needles, you cannot just simply throw away the needles. These are very dangerous objects. You can get hurt with them, stab yourself, stab someone else, get AIDS, hepatitis, whatever. These are very dangerous things. So we have to destroy these and what's called a needle gator. So we have a swamp out here. In just a second, we're going to go look for a needle gator and see if we can feed him some needles. Next thing, we have harder objects to destroy. We're off of the injectables now. We're going to go to mainline pharmacy products. Now, Metamucil. So many people make the biggest mistake of their life and they dump this down the sink. This makes Roto-Rooter guy very unhappy because he has to come out and clean out the sink. Besides that, you can't make coffee because you can't wash out the coffee pot because the sink is overflowing. So there's other ways to destroy Metamucil. Okay, number one, you can take a pair of scissors and try to cut the Metamucil. Unless you have a very large pair of scissors, this does not work. The hammer. The hammer is the most useful object in drug destruction that we have ever found. Okay, we simply set the Metamucil on a hard surface. You can set it either up, down, upside down, sideways, whatever you want to do, and just commence to beating the Metamucil. Okay, you can turn it up in different ways, upside down, and there we go. We have Metamucil. Now, you have the finished product of Metamucil. You have to get rid of the can here to throw it away. Now, nobody likes to come and pick up a trash can full of Metamucil cans, so we must appropriately throw it away with, you guessed it, the tennis racket. Okay. Now, there's another way to destroy Metamucil, and this is the most drastic measure of all. If you have a lot of Metamucil to destroy, or you just, you're tired on your way home from work and you just don't feel like destroying drugs, this is the most easiest way to destroy them. Hard day at night. Chief is mad because you didn't get all the drugs destroyed. Steve is in an uproar and everything. So you take the drug that you need to be destroyed, take it with you. You're on your way home. You tell Chief and tell Steve, don't worry, I will get it done. Take it home with you, okay? As you're walking out to the parking lot or wherever you park your vehicle, just casually set it down on the road and act like, nothing ever happened. Okay, then you get in your vehicle, start it up, and unknowingly, just pull up and boom. And the drug is then destroyed. And the sanitation department and the road crews will come by and clean up your mess, and they will never know anything. They'll think that old lady Graybar, who came and got her 15,000 drugs, came by and just accidentally dropped one on the ground, and they will never know the difference. Now we're moving up in the world to creams. Okay, now there's several different ways you can destroy creams. You can take a cream, take off the lid, squeeze it out, the good old-fashioned way. But there's a quicker way of doing it, taking a pair of scissors, cutting it open, and squeezing it out. Messy, it's fun, it's exciting. You could rub it on your friends or whatever you want to do. The next way is with the trusty hammer. The hammer is such an appropriate tool when it comes to destruction. I cannot believe that so many carpenters have built houses with a hammer when it is so appropriate for destruction. For instance, you set the object on hard surface, commence to hit with a hammer. Finished. Okay. There's another way that is close to the scissors, but it's a little more fun, a little more exciting. Whoever gets into Conan will enjoy this. You can chop. Take two and chop, 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 and just, squeeze it out however. Okay. Now, like I said, if you do not have time to do all these things, you can either chop Steve's head off with a knife, although that would get you in there to see Paul, visiting hours, very long visiting hours to see Paul. Or you can do it the good old-fashioned way, hide it underneath your shirt, leave from work, tell Chief don't worry, it'll be done. Now you walk out of the pharmacy with the medication underneath your shirt, hiding it, telling Chief don't worry about it, it'll be complete. Okay, this right here. Mr. Old Lady Graybar drops his nitroglycerin on the ground. What can we do about it? Nothing. Okay, so you get in your truck and you're heading home. Heading home is my favorite part of the day too. Okay, so Mr. Old Lady Gray Bar is going to revert to nitroglycerin tablets. Hey, what can we say about that? Things aren't quite as easy to destroy as Metamucil cans or creams. Some will come in a little sturdier container here, like this 1986 Sylvadine cream. Okay, now, simply set it on the ground in an appropriate area, take out your Conan sword, and you can have some fun. Yeah! Hey, Ginsu knives are not like this, are they? Okay, now we're still on hard containers, okay? Now, this right here is a little bit smaller, but it is still a very large container. I mean, a very hard container. So you simply hide it under your shirt, say, hey Chief, don't worry about it, it will be done. You go out, okay. Joe Private, you know, as he was driving out of the hospital, he sneezed and his foot powder fell out the window. Hey, what can we do about that? Okay, simply set it on the ground and walk off. Okay, now there was something that we have not been doing here lately, and the National Safety Driving Council has advised us that we better start buckling up because you can learn a lot from a dummy. So for the rest of the experiments using trucks, we must buckle up or council will show. Okay, so you're in your vehicle, you're going to drive off. Hey, not a problem. When it rains here, the ground will be dry. There's no Tinea corpus on the ground, no Tinea pita, no Tinea curious, no Tinea nothing. It's happy-go-lucky, and the container, no problem, get rid of it. We have come to the IV bag portion of our show, of our demonstration. How to safely destroy IV bags. Okay, now this right here could be a heartache, could be easy. Some people say it's fun, some people say it's not. Now, the reason I say it's not is because at the end of the month when an IV expires, you have every IV in the hospital coming down to the pharmacy to be destroyed. And now there are several ways we can destroy them. In this instance, the hammer has proven to be not very effective. Wait, maybe it has been. Okay. Well, change that. The hammer is kind of effective, but not very advisable because, well, you make a mess. Chief doesn't want you to make a mess in his pharmacy. Okay, now, the second way of doing it is the good old-fashioned way. It teaches you about making IVs and everything neat like that. Get your IV, open it up, get your syringe, and you can pull out the IV solution 5 mils at a time. 1,000 ml bag, take a couple of days, big deal. Or, get your scissors, simply cut them open. It's the quickest, most simplest way. Now scissors have a tendency sometimes to get caught up or whatever, you know, they don't get rusty, don't want to work anymore. Trust the pocket knife. Trust the pocket knife. Grab through the whole IV bag, cut it open, way to go. Okay, now if you're going to do multiple bags at a time, you know, say you got a couple bags to go here, get out your Conan sword, commence the chopping. This works quite well, as you can see. Okay, now, like I said earlier, it's been a long night. You know, IVs are stacked up to your elbows. Long night. You gotta hurry up and get rid of the IVs. You stuff them in the back of your shirt. You walk around like the hunchback of Notre Dame, okay? Walking out of pharmacy. Don't worry, Chief. It's taken care of. No problem. And you go out to your car. You've got the IVs outside and laid out on the ground. Now, when you have so many IVs to do that you're up to your elbows doing IVs, you know, to destroy them, you can carry them out here like the hunchback of Notre Dame, set them on the ground, line them out in any form or fashion that you want. Your excuse for this one, you know, obviously, Old Lady Gray Bar or Mr. Old Lady Gray Bar is not going to be carrying IV bags with him. You can't blame it on the private, but that nurse from M4 that wants to carry his IV bags home, hook them up to beer sets, you know, so they can run beer and be a nice little dinner thing. Well, she had a whole box of IVs and accidentally dropped them on the ground. Blame it on her. Okay, now we have the IVs laid out, and we're going to go and destroy them. comes by to suspect you of running over IVs on purpose, you're already long gone. Don't have to worry about it. Now the IVs, well, it rained a little bit and somebody threw some paper out on the ground. No problem. Bag left, and we have to find a very unique way to destroy it, because that's what our job is today, safe ways of destroying drugs. We showed you some safe ways and some not so safe ways. You be the judge. Okay, Scotty will demonstrate the not quite so safe way of destroying IV bags. The Roy style. Yep, that is proven not to be very safe. But the Roy style is very effective for whenever you want to get rid of people. Say, hey, you, go do the Roy style. A little bit of music, a little bit of water, a little bit of stupidity, and you got it, the Roy style. Another not quite so safe way to destroy IV bags is to secretly sneak into the Olympic Hall of Fame and wait and hide it into the agony of defeat tree. Now, it may not have destroyed the bag, but it's gone. So that's all we're worried about. Not quite safe way to destroy IVs is to try to smoke it. It's not quite as effective as try to break the IV bag open with an egg carton. But it does relieve stress awfully good. And practical way of destroying IV is with the tennis racket. Not quite so practical way of destroying IVs is to go just totally ballistic. And when all else fails, you just resort to your primal instincts.